Hey everybody, welcome to Political Fight Club. I'm Robert Durden. Now this episode is going to be very short. I'm adding the last rule of Political Fight Club, and there will be no more rules, and they will be solidified after today. There are 7 rules currently in the book and the movie. There's 8. So this is the final rule, and I knew I didn't want to go beyond that, so I'll give that to you in a second. First and foremost, a quick correction from earlier in a video. When I'm talking about false equivocation, I meant false equivalence. Somebody pointed that out to me. False equivalence is what I'm talking about. Misspoke, but I'm the type of person that likes to say exactly what I mean. So, false equivalence. When you falsely equate Nice News Skirt by Jimmy Dore and the propaganda of Russiagate and the slander of Aaron Mate by TYT, that's false equivalence. So, thank you for pointing that out. I love words, and I like to say exactly what I mean, so I'm correcting. So, thank you. Anyway, the 8th and final rule, guys, I've been thinking a lot about it, and it seems as though this is needed, and I need it for myself, but I also want all the other lefty YouTubers, if you ascribe to the same ideology that I do, and you want the same type of change that I do, this seems like it's very important, and it is, don't turn on your neighbor. And this goes specifically, in America, I love it for it to be love thy neighbor. Jesus was a pretty cool cat, and a lot of people believe in him. I don't know if he was even real, but his ideology seems pretty legit. And they say that they love Jesus, but then they hate their neighbors. I don't know if it's possible for us to stop hating our neighbors, but I do know it's possible in America to not rat on your neighbors, to not hate them for instance, being of a different vaccination status or of a different partisan ideology than you. This specifically goes for poor people. Now, if you're a poor person, you live in a poor neighborhood, by design, you're going to have poor neighbors. So, but really, it's just an overarching ideology that I stole from Jesus, and I am trying to use it in a way to stop the goddamn culture war stuff, because I am seeing a whole lot of people who agree on 95% of their rhetoric, who are poor people, who are turning on each other because of vaccine status or partisan bullshit, culture war stuff. So don't turn on your neighbor. We are not going to turn on each other. And I'm not going to turn on the people that I believe are giving honest rhetoric, even if I disagree with them in terms of like other YouTubers and podcasters. The people I go after are rich assholes that don't do anything except for sit on their ass and try to maintain the status quo with their propaganda. But I've been asked a lot lately to turn on people. I'm not going to turn on my neighbors. I'm not going to turn on poor Trumpists. I'm not going to turn on poor Democrats. I'm not going to turn on my poor brethren. We are not going to do that. So the 8th and final rule is don't turn on your neighbor. But really, it's poor people, don't turn on each other. Don't turn on each other. I don't give a shit what that guy that lives next to you labels himself in terms of their politics. You can have a conversation with them, and you can disagree with them and not hate them and not turn on them. And the establishment is going to do everything they can, I'm sure, to divide us among race, gender, sexuality, and political party affiliation and vaccination status, and we are not going to do that. Okay? I don't like when lefties, or let's say Bidenites in particular, but neoliberals, want to say that everybody that's a Republican, or particularly Trumpists, are dumb white supremacists. Not true. There are plenty of reasonable Republican voters, and even Trump voters, who, in my opinion, they're just a little bit, ignorant on what the country could be like. And I don't like the demonization of them, just like I also don't like the demonization of poor Democrats, poor Democratic voters. So do not turn on each other. Us poor people have to stick together. And the new play, it's not a new play, they always try to divide and conquer, but expect in the future that particularly race, vaccination status, and, gender, sexuality, stuff like that is going to be used to try to divide us and get us to turn on one another. And we're not going to do that, are we? So I'm going to add it today. That is the last rule, and I will not amend them, I don't believe. I think they're good the way that they are. But we have to agree to this. If we keep getting angry at each other about, I mean, the amount of people I saw literally screaming at each other over the, like, Rittenhouse story or over vaccine status is very, very concerning to me. I don't like the fact that it's so easy for poor people to be turned on other poor people. And the rich are going to keep doing that. They're going to find every little way they can to get you to turn on your neighbor. Don't do it. Don't give it to them. And if you think that I'm the type of person that just because you message me and say, oh, this other YouTuber said something really, really stupid, no, I'm not going to attack them. I'm not going to turn on them for no reason. If I think they're giving you propaganda and they're sellouts and breaking the rules of Fight Club, yeah, I'm going to go after them. If they attack me personally, I will go after them. But I'm not going to turn on people simply because I disagree with them on something, especially culture war bullshit. You can forget it. I don't do that. I don't go looking for that kind of trouble. And I'm setting this rule up for myself as well in the future. I'm not going to turn on my fellow proletariat, my fellow poors. I'm not going to turn on my neighbor. Forget it. And you guys shouldn't either. So that's the last rule of Political Fight Club. I have one more video that I did on COVID that I was going to put up on YouTube, but then I went off the rails a little bit. I went off script and started talking about some things that now will get me banned on YouTube. So that's going to be up on Rockfin exclusively. I also am going to do one more video on Aaron Mate's article about the updates on the OPCW cover-up, which is interesting. It's about the toxicology report and the chlorine gas. So it's interesting. I've read it, and I'm writing the article or writing my episode now. That'll probably also be up on Rockfin because I don't think they'll. I might try to put that one up on YouTube. We'll see. Anyway, keep fighting the good fight. Do not turn on each other. Don't do it. No, on principle, we are not turning on each other. That's the last rule of Fight Club. Keep fighting the good fight out there, guys. I'll talk to you later.